Good morning, everyone, and welcome again. It's lovely to have you all with us, and what a great start to the morning. We've had a lot of noise coming from these lions. They've been calling, vocalizing a lot, and luckily this female is busy feeding on the carcass. My name is Byron, and on camera with me this morning is Sebastian. And then, of course, we've got Tristan and Senzo on the other vehicle this morning too. They're going to be driving around and looking for some more animals. So we're going to be spending some time with these lions. It's a special day too. It's Megan's birthday. Megan in the final control. Happy birthday, Megan. So I hope she has a wonderful day. And what a great start with these lions. Now, don't forget, everyone, we are completely live. So send us your questions and your comments. And you can do so via Twitter. Hashtag Safari Live is how you do that. Oh, look, there's some vultures on the ground already. What? It looks like a hooded vulture. It is hooded vulture, which we haven't seen yet. So add that to the list, please, Megan. We're trying to rack up our bird list at the moment. Oh, there's some vultures flying into the trees behind us, and they're breaking branches as they do that. Oh, it's still a very cloudy and overcast morning. It's only about 18 degrees Celsius. Or what was it, 75 Fahrenheit? Was it 75 Fahrenheit, I think? Oh, look, there's 65 Fahrenheit and 18. There are those hooded vultures. You can see them. All perched up in the tree. There's plenty of vultures around at the moment. If I had to guess, I would say there's probably around 20 or 30 vultures already in the trees all around us. I think dotted around there's I would say somewhere around there. Hang on, listen to this, everyone. One of the lions started calling. Maybe these start calling too. One in the distance. There we go. Listen. Wonderful. Hey, what a great morning sound. Fantastic. Just the 3 males called. That one didn't. The one that was following that lioness. But it's interesting. As soon as this male got up, the one on the left-hand side, got up and headed towards the carcass, that female moved off. I wonder. Now, that female is the one that we think is, I think is the one that has got cubs at the moment. Now, I don't know what the decision is on following that lioness. Now, we need to be sensitive in the beginning when they have got young cubs. We don't want to put too much pressure on her, but the best way to habituate young cubs is you only view them obviously when the female is there. And if she takes you to the den site where she's got these young cubs, you might be able to view from a distance. And with us, it's even better because we can park a little bit further away and maybe see and watch from a distance, watch the lioness possibly suckle the cubs. So I don't know if she's going to head off in that direction. She may do. It might be difficult to follow her. She's not far, but let's see what these males get up to. It's interesting how these vultures are getting very brave already, taking any chance they can. Watch, this male might chase a vulture or two. Lions don't like vultures. That sound of a lion roar early in the morning is just absolutely amazing. And we've been hearing them all night. They've been calling a lot. Looks like that lioness is laying down in the grass, so she's not going anywhere just yet, but I'm going to keep my eye on her. We're going to spend some time with these lions this morning and see what activity they get up to. Let's head across to Tristan, who is wanting to say good morning to you, and he is in the search of some scavengers.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our sunrise safari from myself, Tristan, and on camera, Sinzo. And as Byron mentioned, we are going to be looking for some scavengers. So we're up at Sydney's Dam, and there's quite a few hyenas lurking around. Unfortunately, they're quite far off, so it's not great visuals at the moment. We're just waiting patiently to see if they come back. It looks like about 7 or 8 of them that are moving around in this area, so it'd be nice just to see who they are and what they've been doing and whether they're part of the Djuma clan. Now, this is live. It is interactive. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or the YouTube chat, should you want to get hold of us or ask any questions. But it is a beautiful morning, and it's been very nice to be serenaded by lions all night and during the morning, and I'm sure you've loved that start that Byron had. I know Byron and Seb were both hoping that they would roar this morning, so it's a wonderful way to begin. Now, hyenas, like I say, are spread out across sort of Sydney's Dam area. At the moment, it's still very dark, and it's difficult to be able to kind of make them out. It's overcast, grey, dingy day, and so it's not easy to actually see them moving about in this grass. Hopefully they are going to start moving back towards where we are, because it's going to be very difficult to see them otherwise. I'm just trying to scan around with binoculars and try and see where they could be at the moment. I saw one lurking around the dam at the back end, and then there was another one that was closer towards us at one point, but I can't make any of them out now, and we're in such a bad area for signal that the gremlins keep fighting, and this is really the only place we can actually park that the gremlins don't give us a problem. So there's one hyena. I can actually see when you see it to the left there, Senzo. There it's going. So you can see the telltale big round Mickey Mouse ears in the grass, and look how they're sniffing around. So this is where that buffalo kill was for the Birminghams 2 nights ago, and that's why they're here, is that they're probably finishing off the scraps. And you can see that hyenas spent some time in the mud. It's got a dirty bottom, which is very typical of hyenas. When they have been feeding and running around, they often do get into water and get all full of mud and other stuff as they try and cool themselves down after running around. But the belly on that one looks fairly full, so I would imagine that they've had at least something to eat. Now, it's also difficult to work out whether it's male or female from this distance. With the naked eye, I can't even see that hyena walking around there, so difficult to make out whether it's masculine or feminine. With hyenas, you often find that their sort of sexuality is a difficult thing to notice from a long distance, and just kind of roughly thinking, I would imagine that it might be either a young female or a male. It doesn't look as bulky as the adult females, the really large ones that have these kind of broad chests, and often their stomach hangs quite low. You can see that particular hyena, the stomach is still quite high up and the legs still look quite long in comparison to the body. I find when female hyenas get older, it kind of all squashes out a little bit. Right, I'm going to try and see if I can't sit here for a little bit longer, see if our hyenas come south, and I'm sure somebody who likes to cackle just like a hyena wants your attention again with his lion and vultures. So let's go back to Byron.
You think I cackle like a hyena, Tristan? And look at that hooded vulture in the background with the male lion. Oh, these lions really performed for us this morning. You can see these lions are very watchful over these vultures. They don't want them getting too close to the carcass. But the vultures are quite brave. It's interesting. Isn't that a great shot? Nice, Sebastian. Very nice. Look at the vulture creeping up. Catty, you asked if the lions would kill these vultures if they got too close. I don't know. I've never seen a lion able to catch a vulture. So, if they manage to grab one, possibly, but I don't know, I've never seen it. Never seen it. I think if anything, they'll just kind of hit them away, swipe them away perhaps, or chase them. V. Jake, you asked how long would vultures stalk or stay near a kill before they give up? And well, these vultures will definitely wait their turn. With these lions lying around, they're not going to come anywhere close to the kill just yet. They're just waiting very, very patiently, and you can see how these lions, well, firstly the vultures in the trees getting very active already early in the morning, but these lions are lying close to the carcass, so it's impossible for these vultures to get down there. But the vultures will stay here until the lions move off and until there's absolutely nothing left of that carcass. This has been a very good kill for all these lions. A lot of food for all these lions. 4 males. Wonderful to have all 4 males together. I can't remember. I actually haven't seen all 4 together. I think I've only seen 3. 3 together at once. So nice to see all 4. The other one was off to the left. We can't see him, but he started the calling, that roar that we heard this morning. He started it, and then these 2 joined in. And that other one that was following that lioness, he didn't call at all for some reason. Those eyes. Is that... Sebastian says that is Nena. Awesome. Some guests also got to see that or hear the lion roar with us, which is wonderful. That's something I know I always wanted to show guests, if we could, was some male lions and get them roaring and calling. Barbara, you said now that the lions are all quite close together, can we tell the size difference? To be honest, Barbara, these males all look so similar in size. They'd have to stand right next to one another, I think, for us to really get an idea of which one is bigger and which one isn't, or which ones are smaller. Vultures all taking off. Look, they're coming into the tree close to us. There you go. Have a look at that. If we zoom out a bit, Seb, I think you'll see. Just watch these vultures flying in. There they all come. Just look at that. Catching silhouettes of vultures in trees. So, I think I'm going to try to spend quite a bit of time here, and I'll tell you why, is because I'd like to see if that lioness gets up and moves. Now, I think she's a bit nervous at the moment. There's just a hooded vulture that you can see there. There's a beautiful view of the hooded vulture. So, as I was saying with this lioness, I think she's a bit nervous of moving off because she doesn't want the males. I don't think she would want the males to follow her to her den site. But I'm going to keep an eye on her. There, she's just started moving now. And you know what? If she does decide to move off in the direction of the den, I think we should follow her. Again, we'll be very sensitive and we'll keep our distance, but it is the only way you can find out exactly where a den is, and also with the lioness there, the cubs will be comfortable. So you know what, I'm going to start up now, and I'm going to follow them. She may just lay down again because that male is so close to her. Let's see. Oh, this is very exciting though. For there to potentially be, or for this lioness to potentially take us to her cubs. I do think this is the lioness with cubs. But you see, this male is very interested in her. What, she's displaying phlegm over there? Look at that. I'm trying to see whether or not she's in estrus, but it's interesting. I wonder. I'm just trying to see if I can see. I'm trying to look for her teats too, just to make sure, but it does look like this is the lioness with the cubs. Ah, you see, she just flopped over there. He's got a leaf on his face there. A guarri leaf. Scent marking a little bit. All these lions are watching the vultures closely as they fly past. Oh. I'm just going to move forward a little bit there. Now, like I said, I think we just need to be patient this morning, and hopefully this female manages to give this male the slip and she can head off to the den site. But for now, we're just going to sit tight and wait for them. Let's go across to Tristan and see how those scavengers are doing that he found.
Well, unfortunately, our scavengers keep eluding us. Every time we go off air, they appear and then they just disappear as soon as we come back again. So we've seen, as far as I've seen now, I've seen 3 or 4 there. They are actually running around. So you can see one that's busy bouncing and running through the bush there. So it seems as though apparently they've got bits of the carcass of this buffalo, and they're busy tussling with each other, trying to pull pieces and get pieces of their own. So there's quite a number of them that are actually in the area, and the guys told me that there's 8 in total. So they're mostly down near the water's edge playing around with the buffalo horns. Where that one is walking now, you can see there comes another one from the right hand side. So it is a long way away, and I don't think they're going to come closer towards us because they're preoccupied with this food that is around. So they're chewing on bones and bits of this carcass, and that means that at the end of the day, they've got other things to worry about. I don't think they're going to move off anytime soon. It's not exactly going to get hot at any stage today. It's still overcast, it's still cloudy, which means that they can spend quite a long time still fairly active in that area. There was a lot that actually came from the right hand side, that came down that hill from the thicket on the top right corner and then moved towards the dam. So there was 3 of them that came from that side. So I don't know if their numbers are growing or if those ones were around to begin with as well. So they seem to have all gone down into that little gully that leads into Sydney's dam that we just can't see from where we are. So it's a little bit of a tough one. And as I was saying, with the amount of food that's probably here, I don't know if these guys are going to come towards us. So what we might do is just carry on, and if we hear that they're starting to come, then begin to move back into that area and try and see if we can find them. The problem that we have is that, like I say, the signal's so bad that repositioning, there we go, Senzo, the 2 of them are actually out. Sorry, Senzo. So Senzo is battling to find them, but there's 2 that are walking around there. There we go. 3 actually that I can see now. 4. So there comes the 4th one from the left-hand side. Come on, guys. Come back to us. It would be really interesting to know who is who here. I don't suppose any of you would be able to actually identify them from this distance, but if you can, hashtag Safari Live, be interesting to know which individuals we actually have at this particular carcass, whether it's members from the EP clan, whether it's the members from the Djuma clan, or if it's a grouping from Manyaleti. I would suspect that this is all the Djuma clan that is hanging around here, but like I say, from the distance that we're at, to ID any of them is near impossible. And there you go, typical hyena bounce. William, you're wondering if hyenas are scavengers or predators? Both, William. So you'll find in this area our hyenas will hunt for themselves from time to time, but they will also scavenge. So you'll, especially in a place where there's a predator-rich density of lion and leopard and wild dogs, that means that hyenas can afford to be fairly good scavengers, and they'll go around and they'll scavenge quite a bit. But you'll also find when they grow a little bit larger and the clans get bigger, it's not as easy to scavenge food all the time for everybody, and so that's when they'll start to hunt successfully for themselves. And the clan that lies to our west, they often are hunting buffalo and giraffe. I've seen them bring down, and varying other species of antelope. Because the clan is so big, it's close to 50 hyenas, they can't afford to go around stealing half an impala here, half an impala there, because they just won't feed everybody. So they do kill for themselves quite regularly. Are you going to come towards us? It's hopeful. It looks like it's moving in our direction, this individual. Now, this must be a low-ranking individual or a male, because it seems to be on the fringes of what's going on, and it keeps getting kind of pushed away by the others. So I would imagine that it's not one of the higher-ranking members. The higher-ranking members will be the first ones to feed, and they'll keep the males and young ones away as much as possible. But unfortunately, that's it. We can't really see too many more of them. It was just a brief glimpse into our hyenas world, and like I was saying just now, I can't really move from here, so I'm going to try and just stay here for as long as possible and see if they come, because if I decide to start the car and move off, well, we're going to lose picture with all of you. So I'm just going to sit and hope for the best. There comes another one now, Senzo. You see it on the right there of that bush. There's quite a few of them that are coming out. Bless you, Senzo. So there you go, you can see quite a few of them starting to come out now. 1, 2, 3 that I can see there. And you can see typical head down feeding. Bless you, Sensor. So I believe that one of these clan members is one of the males called Tala, which I've actually never seen before, so that'll be a first time for me to see that individual. Oh, with a K, so Kala, is that right, Megan? Something along those lines. So that's from Chris Rogue, who knows the hyenas probably better than most out here. So thank you, Chris Rogue. Like I say, I'm still trying to find half of these Djuma clan members. There's a lot that we just never see, and they obviously spend a lot more time in other parts of the reserve. So you'll find they're spending time in Manyaleti, Buffelshoek, or down in the south. So it's the first time for me that I've seen Carla, who's, well, I would imagine one of those young, well, the one that was walking on the left, maybe the first one that we saw. It, like I was saying, looked very male-like. So Chris says another one is Gwen's son Sol. So we got quite a few males lurking around, and that's probably why we're seeing more of them than the others, is because they're on the fringes, on the outskirts, being pushed by the females away from the food. You'll find the males have to wait for a little bit and kind of compete with the females as much as possible to try and get food, but they will be on the outlying areas, and then the females will be down where the main part of the carcass is. So that's probably why we're seeing all the boys on the edge, and we'll find that the rest will start coming as soon as whatever is there is finished. Then you'll find the females starting to come out and maybe get a view of them. But still cool to see. It's nice when we get so many of our hyenas together, and to see a new hyena in this area is always special. I might have seen him before, but with the fact that we see them so briefly, it's sometimes a bit difficult to actually identify them. Now, I don't know what that one's got. Whatever it's got, it's quite large. You can see it's actually not bending its neck too far, so maybe it's got a bit of the skull or some of the ribs that it's dragged there, or even a leg, but it's got some length to it. You can see how it's kind of got its head down feeding in the grass, but it's not pushing its head all the way to the ground for a small bone. So it's got something substantial bone-wise there, and going to town. Now, hyenas have incredible bite force, and so even the ribs of a buffalo or the smaller bones, they'll be able to crunch those down and be able to get them. It's got the horns. You can actually see the horns sticking out in places there. That's very cool. It's a pity about the green bush. Lisa, you're wondering why a hyena's backside is so much lower than their front. Oh, why are you running away, hyena? That's maybe one of the younger ones being pushed off again. Lisa, the reason why is that for these guys, when they're hunting or when they're moving, they're covering massive distances. So they're not like lions and leopards that have a short burst of speed and then they walk everywhere else and then don't cover massive distances. So these guys have this sloping back because when they run, they'll actually rock. And that rocking motion is far more energy efficient than a straight backed animal. And it means that these guys can cover much longer distances without exerting as much energy. And you'll find things like topi in the Mara, they have that. Wildebeest have it. So all these animals that move big distances tend to have this more sloping back pattern that allows them to then be able to run for longer periods, and their hunting style means that they chase animals to exhaustion, and that's why they have this more sloped back that you see. Right, I think our hyenas all disappearing again, and there's some other vehicles that want to come that can actually get closer to them. So I think we're going to leave them, unfortunately, and we're going to carry on and see what else we can go and find. And while we do that, I believe Byron is looking at the lions with envy in his eyes as they sleep cozily and cuddle in the grass.
A little bit, Tristan. But now this lioness is trying desperately to get away from this male, but he's not letting her leave. He keeps following her, and that's not ideal because she wants to go to the den. And I think even if this male is potentially the father of those cubs, she's still very cautious and very nervous. She doesn't want to let this male come anywhere near the den because the cubs are still young. So he is actually throwing a spanner in the works, and he's not helping us because otherwise, if he decided to leave this lioness, she would most likely head straight back to the den. Now, I'm not sure what it is what scent he's picking up on. If perhaps she's got a lot of hormones and estrogen going through her body. I don't know, because she is lactating and feeding these cubs. But he definitely is making it difficult for us. And that's not ideal. Let's follow them some more. I'm going to stick with them, everyone. That's my plan this morning. I'm going to stick with this lioness and hope that this male eventually decides that she's not looking to mate and he leaves her alone. But I don't know. It would be interesting to see what unfolds. But he does not look like he's interested in letting her go anywhere without him staying very close to her. Steph, you asked why is the male so interested in her? Purely for mating. He is only interested in one thing at the moment, and he wants to potentially mate with his female, he wants to see if she is ready to mate. I don't think he knows that she's given birth to cubs, but he's definitely picking up on the scent of something that is causing him to be curious and interested in this female. Looks like he's bobbing and weaving there a little bit. Probably like the boxers are doing at the moment. James, that's exactly what I was saying earlier, and I think you're right. Possibly the pregnancy hormones or hormones she's still showing signs of after giving birth to those cubs. He's possibly mistaking those for hormones that the females give off when they are in estrus. So he's possibly picked up on something like that. That would be my only guess. Is that they're definitely hormones or something that he's picking up on that makes him think like this female is ready to mate. So that's why he's sticking close to her. But like I said, he's not helping us at all by staying with her. You can see she walks and she stops. Walks and stops. Michelle, we don't know exactly how long this female has been away from the cubs for. Tristan has seen tracks of her walking in the direction of the den, so I'm sure she's been backwards and forwards a few times to feed the cubs, to allow them to suckle. Usually lionesses go back maybe once a day to a den, feed the cubs, and then they'll move off again, go and feed or hunt with the rest of the pride, then go back again and allow the cubs to suckle. Once or twice a day, it depends. So that'd be okay, but like I said, there are tracks heading in the direction of where we think the den is, so I think she's been back a few times to feed them. But she's a bit nervous now with this male. Deborah, I don't think this male would kill the cubs. But they're still very young, and males are unpredictable. Especially when they are looking to mate, and they're fueled by testosterone, and they can be quite aggressive. So I think it's more of a case of the female being very, very cautious. I don't think this male would kill the cubs because he'd most likely recognize the scent and possibly think it's his cubs. But again, we don't know which male is the father of these cubs. So I think it's just a case of her being extremely cautious, very careful, doesn't want to take the male to her den site where she knows there are vulnerable cubs there. But who knows? I don't think he would kill the cubs. But then again, you never know with lions, and especially with aggressive males, they can snap from time to time and just do something quite unpredictable. Lynn, he's not moving his head like that, he's just breathing. He's breathing very, very heavily. Both these lions, this male and female, are so full from feeding on that buffalo carcass, and he's breathing heavily, and with him breathing, he's kind of just, his body is shaking or moving from side to side. You can see he's panting. That's all it is. Well, as I said, I'm going to stay here and spend time with these lions and see. Hopefully we have some luck. Now Tristan has left his scavengers. Now he's scavenging around for another sighting. I wonder where he's off to and what his plan is. Let's go find out.
Well, Byron, we're off to try and follow up on some alarm calls that weren't too far from where you are. So I'm not sure if you saw all four of the males there and the females, but apparently there was alarm calling on Vuatela access very close to Zoe's Road. Now I don't think they would have been able to see the lions from there unless those lions have moved up, but Rex said he was with the lions and he left them and they couldn't see the lions from where he was. So unless these impalas picked up some scent that caused them to go crazy, maybe, just maybe, there could be a little sneaky spotted cat moving around. We know that these guys like to kind of get into areas, and sometimes they are quite inquisitive and they smell blood and guts and those kind of things, and they actually go in and try and have a little look to see what's happening. So maybe we get lucky. It's also interesting that there was a report of a young female that's not in Chila and not Shongile at one of the Buffelshoek camps just north of the boundary, which I can only think is Tiani, and she was mobile south. So I'm checking around these areas because who knows, maybe it's her that has decided to come southwards and come and check out a new part of the world, and that would be super exciting if we did see Tiani. She's such a beautiful cat and she's one of my absolute favorites, so I would be so thankful if we could find her, because she is very big and she's a beautiful girl, got the most amazing eyes. So that's going to be what I'm going to try and look for and just see. Failing all of this, and if there's nothing really works out from this, then I'm going to head down towards sort of Triple M, that new road, see if there isn't any sign of Shadow coming back from her kill from Arethusa. But I'll try to get an update from the guys in the west before I head that way, in case she's still on her kill, because then, well, if she's still there, there's no point. Joyce, you want to know how big of an area we cover? Well, Joyce, we do about 2,500 acres, or sort of 1,200 hectares is about how much we're traversing at the moment. The Sabi Sands itself, in terms of where these animals can move and how big an area these guys can operate in, you're looking at an area of about, if we include Mala Mala, which is not really part of the Sabi Sands but is in the same kind of block, it's surrounded by the Sabi Sands and it's often included in the size, then you're looking at about 120,000 acres, maybe a little bit more. So this is where Rex said they were alarm calling. You can actually see where he reversed a little bit and turned around, so maybe it's worth just turning off for a little bit and listening. So this area is a little bit smaller than, say, potentially the Mara, where Brent and James and Scott and Jamie and Taylor are. That area is actually much bigger. It's about 120,000 hectares, or so 240,000 acres, so it's a much larger space. But the density of animals here is so good that we still get a lot of sightings. We get to be able to see a lot of what goes on. So it's a smallish area in comparison to other parts of Africa and other reserves in Africa, but it is a dense area, so we still have a lot of things going on, which is good. But it sounds like it's all quiet now. I was just listening carefully, just trying to see. I wonder if it's just not the scent from those lions blowing in this direction. The lions are just off on my right hand side, but quite far from where we are, so it could be just a bit of scent that has drifted this way, and that's what's caused them to get a little bit on the upset side. I'll just drive around and just check and see what I can find, but he said that they were looking north of the road, so maybe, just maybe, they're somewhere outside. Now I believe Byron is sitting with his lions, who he says are smelly, but it's actually Byron just forgot to shower last night, and well, he must say this, and then it's Byron's fault.
Oh, that's very harsh, Tristan. I did shower last night. It's not me that's smelling, that's for sure, but these lions don't smell very good. Now, this female has managed to slip away for a moment from the male, but he's still following her. I think I can actually see Tristan. This lioness is heading in his direction. Oh, but hang on, you see the male has now stopped. So that's good. Am I allowed to say stay? Lie down, stay, roll over. I'm of course only joking, but I do hope that this male stays here, because the chances of them following this lioness to a potential den are a lot better. I'm going to stick with her. She's just on top of the termite mound. Maybe the male has decided this is too much effort, not interested in following her anymore. Oh, that's actually a lovely view. Wow. Look how she's decided to put herself on top of a termite mound like a leopard, would you say? Waving to Tristan, I can see him in the distance. There's Tristan. Look at him. Oh, shame. Cute. He's got his gloves on. Oh, little Tristan. He's quite a big softie. Don't smile at me, Tristan. I'm not your toothbrush. Yeah, that is awesome. Look at that. A lioness. And Tristan and Senzo in the background. We had a lot of fun last night on our sunset safari. Tristan and I, we laughed a lot. It was great. And what a wonderful drive too. We saw so much yesterday. Lions, elephant, leopard. Now, these impala alarm calling off to my right at the moment, and they most likely see this lioness. That male hasn't moved again, so that's good. There we go. There she. Keep going. Oh, I'm very excited now, everyone. I am really, really excited. I'm not promising anything, but I'm going to be very patient. I'm going to follow this lioness. And again, this is the way we find out exactly where the dens are. If these animals do have den sites, leopard and lion, someone needs to follow the lioness or the female leopard. She will then take them to the den site, and then at least we've got an idea of where it is, potentially how many cubs. We can view from a distance. We need to always be very sensitive, but it is a way for us to hopefully ensure future good sightings with these animals, with these predators, the young lions. What we want to slowly habituate them to the vehicles, know that there's no threat or danger, and the only way you can do that is Kanjali, you actually wondering about that, is would the cubs get a little bit nervous with the vehicle? Yes, indeed they would. So that's why we follow the lioness, and with her being around, she's obviously comfortable with the vehicle. And then that way the cubs then slowly but surely learn to trust the vehicles, know there's no threat or danger, and that is how you start habituating these animals. It's a natural way of habituation, and it's just but again, always maintaining sensitivity. That's very important, and I am a firm believer in that. And if you follow and keep your distance, then hopefully you are rewarded with a great sighting of some lion cubs, and then hopefully they will reach maturity and you get to follow them and their story as adults. Oh, good, that male has decided to stay. He's just watching this lioness walk off, so I hope he doesn't follow any further. But notice how she's now completely comfortable in walking away. Perhaps he is in two minds. So I just want to have a look. He's still standing back there. Seb, do you want to try to see if we can see him there? Hang on. Let me do this. Is that okay? Good. As I was saying, perhaps he is in two minds. Either hungry or looking to mate. I was going to say another word with H, but there's a family program. Megan is shouting at me at the moment. Sorry, Megan, I didn't say anything. Alright. Smitty, now, it doesn't look like this lioness would try and run away from him. she was just very patient. She would walk, lie down, and eventually that male lost interest. So he's moved off in the other direction. This is very exciting. I do think she's going straight to the den. I don't think it would help her actually trying to run away, because he would run after her. So I think just by being patient, I'm using my mic pack here. Just by her being patient, it's paid off. Now she can move around without this male following her. Like I said, and you can see I'm keeping a good distance away from this lioness. I don't want her to think we are now a threat. And I also think this is the first time somebody's following her to the den. I haven't heard of anyone else following her to the den, so trying to be as sensitive as possible. And this is exciting. This for me is really, really exciting, because it's a privilege. It really is a privilege to be able to be the first person or the first vehicle to follow a lioness to a den, to a potential den site, and maybe see these cubs for the first time. I think they've been seen, or at least one or two have been seen, I think, by some other guides, but no one has spent time around the den site. So if we know exactly where it is, and perhaps we get to see how many cubs there are, this would be very exciting. But look how full that belly is. This lioness has done very well for herself. She's got a lot of food that she's fed on. Look at that belly swaying from side to side. And you can see that she is lactating. You can see just under her belly, her teats are showing. And you can see she does look like she is full of milk. Alright, now we'll stick with the lioness. It sounds like Tristan has made his way towards the males. So let's go and have a look if they potentially see Tristan as another dominant male.
Byron, you are another story. I don't think they do, Byron, in any way whatsoever. You can see our male is striding through the open grass. So those impalas that were alarm calling that Rexon had were alarm calling for the lions. Once I found them and looked back, you could actually see them moving through the grass, the lions, and could see Byron moving away with the female. And this guy is just striding, and there's a whole bunch of vultures here that he's going to disturb very quickly. So you can see, look at this. Watch him come in here now. It should be quite interesting to watch. Let's see if he chases any of them, because there's vultures all over the ground and they're getting quite brave now. And here comes one of the other lions to greet him. So there's going to be the two of them. Look, there we go. Oh, look at that. Isn't that good? Mfumo and Tinyo, again, by the looks of it. And then the third Birmingham is also here as well. So I wasn't going to come here, but when we saw that Birmingham striding this way that quickly, you can see the vultures all flying off. And there we go, third one as well, also greeting. Now I'm not sure where the fourth individual is, but look at this. This is male lions at their best. There we go. Hello, boys. Now I don't know where the fourth is. He must be around here somewhere. Maybe he's moved off, but I only see these three at the moment. Isn't it cool that we've got them all standing though, and looks like they're going to feed off the carcass together as a group? Maybe not. Mfumo's decided, no, I'm not doing it. Oh, there's going to be, as this carcass gets less and less, so the greeting that we just saw now is going to start getting unfriendly. And it's Tinyo again. He's always such a grumpy lion at a carcass. He's okay, boy. I'm gonna go forward here quickly just to see, so we can watch these guys. Now, unfortunately going to separate our vultures a little bit. They'll come back though just now. They're not going to worry too much. Does that smell nice, Senzo? Breakfast smells good. There we go. That's better. So it seems like Nsuku is the one that is not here at the moment. I don't know if Byron saw him earlier. Mfumo is busy disappearing in the background. Nena and Tinyo are the ones fighting. What's wrong, Tinyo? You've got something in your nose. You can hear him sniffing and sneezing. No, it's obviously got it out now. But I would expect for this buffalo to be done by later today. I don't think it's going to be around for much longer. There's Mfumo just surveying what's going on. Bless you, Tinyo. But how cool was that when they all got up and greeted each other? And Tinyo has now chased off Nena as well. Lisa and Matt, you're asking if the Birminghams have come together because other lions are moving in. No, so there's no other lions that are putting pressure on them at the moment. They've got really very little competition. The reason why they're together is for food. So they've managed to get themselves 2 buffalo in the space of 2 days, and that's been a tough task lately. There's been very few buffalo around, so for them to have found buffalo is always a special thing, and they have made the most of it. So the only reason they're together is because of the lack of buffalo in this area, and because they've managed to make kills, and that's why they've all come. As soon as this buffalo is finished, I'm sure we're going to see a split of them again, and one going in one direction, another in another direction. They're going to try and join up with different prides. But Mfumo is heading now towards Galago Pan. I'm sure he's going to go and drink that side. So we might follow him and go and see what he gets up to. Just now you can see he's disappearing just over the ridge there. There goes his mane. And he's walking the exact direction that Nena walked yesterday to go and drink. Now, there's a male on a mission to go get something to drink, which is fairly typical. But Byron is with a lady on a mission, and I'm sure she's going to go and care for her little ones.
Well, we're hoping so, Tristan. I really am holding thumbs. Still, she hasn't stopped walking. She's still walking along this little path or road, heading hopefully straight to the den site. So both Sebastian and I are holding our breaths, waiting anxiously to see if she takes us to young cubs. This is all very, very exciting. Aegis, you asked how old would the cubs be at this point. I would guess somewhere around 3 weeks, I think, but I don't know. I have no idea when they were potentially born, but I think somewhere around 3 weeks to a month, perhaps. So still very young. Very, very, very young. Still very, very overcast this morning. Nice and cool. It's not too warm at all. Jake, you asked if there are any birds around us. There have been. I actually just saw a southern white-crowned shrike. Unfortunately, we didn't get it on camera, so I can't put it on the list. But there are a number of birds calling. There's some Cape turtle doves. We need to look for some more doves. I don't think I've seen the laughing dove. We need to put that on the list. So apparently our list is on 53 at the moment. I was very excited when we reached 50 yesterday. And like I said, we've definitely seen more birds than that, but the problem is getting them on camera is not easy. Now this lioness would also probably be a bit cautious approaching the den. Doesn't want to get or attract too much attention, so she'll be very cautious, very careful. Like I said, I think we just need to be patient and follow her carefully and now, Campy and Dee's mom, good morning. You wanted to know why these lions have black markings on their ears or black tips on their ears. So the two main reasons. The one is that if you have a look, watch her walking away from us now. If you just look at the lioness like that, look what you can see very clearly. That stands out in the brown grass. You can see that black tip of the tail, and you can see the black tips of the ears. So that is an easy way for the lions to see one another in the long grass when they're potentially hunting. So that's the one theory behind it. The other one that we know is agnostic behavior. Now that is aggressive behavior. It's known as aggressive behavior. And when this lioness is aggressive, if I had to get too close to her, what they do is they pin their ears down, but they pin their ears down in a forward direction. And what that does is that then shows those black markings very clearly, and she'll growl and snarl, and it's a sign of aggression. So that's what that is also known as, or known for. Oh, brown-headed parrots. There they go. Seb, brown-headed parrots. I just heard them. There they go, two of them. Well done, Seb. Well done. Now, we were speaking about the brown-headed parrots or parrots in general and what we see around here. And I said yesterday, we do get brown-headed parrots. They're here all year round. So hopefully we'll get to see them. And there they go. I just heard them calling as they flew over. See, it helps to know the bird calls, because then you can often find the birds. Now, hang on, let's see where this lioness is going now. She's heading off the road. I just want to listen, just to hear if she contact calls at all. No, nothing yet. Alright, we're going to turn off here too. Now, it looks as though she's heading towards a drainage line. Now, that is often a perfect spot for lions to hide cubs, in a thick drainage in an area not easily accessible. Now it sounds like Tristan is also in for a treat. One of the males is heading towards a waterhole and is probably going to go and drink. That'll be great to see. I'm going to follow this lioness, see where she goes, and let's head to Tristan quickly and see if that lion goes to drink.
Well, we are in for a treat because Nkuhuma is making his way slowly but surely down to the water's edge. So he's coming towards Gallagher Pan, and we should get a really nice visual. Now I'm hoping he's going to drink straight ahead of us as he approaches like this. It will be perfect if he does, because we will be in the prime place to watch him as he goes about his business. But he is slowly but surely heading straight towards the water. Let's see now where he decides to end up. But look at that. Isn't that amazing to see the size of those paws? Massive paws. Are you going to drink for us right there? That's a good boy. No, he's just looking around, just making sure. He decides where he's going to go. Senzo, let's just reposition slightly so that we're right on the same level as him. So I'm just going to quickly reposition while he decides to take a few mouthfuls. He should be here for quite some time, because when lions have been eating buffalo, they tend to be quite thirsty. So somewhere around there, Senzo, what do you reckon? Is that good? I think so. I think that's a perfect place. Now you'll see he's going to drink standing up for a bit, and then hopefully he'll decide to settle a bit and drop that back down, and then he'll really get into it. Now we know that the Birmingham Boys, we followed Tinyo the other day, and he drank for such a long time. So I wonder if Mfumo is going to do the same and have a record like his brother did. I think that Tinyo the other day was, somebody tagged me in saying that he had been drinking for 7 minutes was how long he drank for, which is absolutely unbelievable. 7 minutes is a long time. But we were talking about how they drink at that stage, and for those of you that missed it, basically with cats, they don't drink like we think they do. They're not scooping water, they're using surface tension, and they close their mouth quick enough to be able to actually get the water in. So there we go, Senzo's showing you beautifully as he lifts up. The rough tongue has surface tension, and that pulls water up, and then they close their mouth quickly behind it. So they're actually not lapping up too much, so it takes them a long time to get a very small amount of water. Joe, you say you love watching them drink. Well, I think we're being spoilt this morning, because we're in absolutely perfect place to watch this, and it's close. It's a nice small pan, so they're not very far away, so we can get really beautiful views of our boy as he has a drink. And he's such an interesting lion for me. He kind of does his own thing all the time, and I always like watching him. He's got character, this lad. He's a nice big cut under his eye, just adds to all of that. You can see lots of scars on that face from times that he has had to defend himself from his coalition members. Charlie, wondering if this is a natural water hole or water that's piped in. Charlie, it's water that is piped in, so it's in front of Gallagher Camp. Now, Gallagher Camp is here for obviously the guests, and so there's a water hole just in front so that animals will come and drink. That's why they've got the camp here. And it's not uncommon to see camps with water holes in front. It's just so that when the guests are in their lodge, that they are able to see some of the animals coming down to drink at various times. So they do spend a lot of time in front of these camps, and it's a great water hole for cats to drink at because of its small nature. That chances of having something like a crocodile here is very, very slim, and so these guys will love to drink in a place like this because they don't have to stress as much as if, let's say, they had to go to a bigger dam like Chitwa Dam or something like that. So they like coming to drink here. It's also pumped fresh water, which makes it a lot better. Are you thirsty, my boy? Often when they feed like this, though, they do get very, very thirsty. Take care. You're wondering how many liters he would drink in one session? Well, they generally will take on about 7 to 8 liters a day, so you'll find maybe they'll drink 2-3 times a day, depending on how much food they've eaten and how hot it is. So I would imagine that in one setting they would probably take on a liter, maybe liter and a half. Not as much as you would think. Like I say, when they drink for this long, you think that they're drinking a lot, but the actual amount of water that's going in is very little. So I would say maybe a liter at the most in a session like this. You can see he is very thirsty though. I'm surprised he hasn't settled though. I'm surprised he hasn't put his bum down. It can't be comfortable to be sitting in that position. It looks very awkward, and with that big belly, maybe that's why he's not put it down. He's just so full that putting his belly flat is more uncomfortable than actually standing like that. And blacksmith lapwing, not a lapsmith blackwing. A blacksmith lapwing that's arrived, not very happy about the fact that there's a male lion drinking at its waterhole. That's what you're hearing in the background, that tick, 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 tick. Oh, I think Mfumo's done now. I don't think he's interested in doing any more. So you see he's watching because he can actually see some of the guests that are and staff that are working at Gallagher. They've walked out to see him, so that's why he's watching in that direction now. He's not too phased by it. Come on, settle down. Put your bum down. You're going to be a lot more comfortable if you do that. Isn't this cool though to see? It's so very, very epic. We've been absolutely spoiled by the Birminghams the last few days. Now, there's super exciting news. It sounds like Byron has followed that female and has got the first visual of these little cubs, so let's quickly go across to him.
Look at this, everyone. Oh my word, I'm actually shaking. I am so excited.
Me too.
Hey Seb, look at that little cub that we've just found. This lioness has been kind enough to allow us to follow her back to the den. I can see we've seen 3 cubs, everyone. 3 beautiful little cubs for the first time. Isn't this amazing? Happy birthday, Megan.
Yeah.
Now, I've positioned, I've been hiding them in a drainage line. Now these cubs, you can see they are still young, but their eyes are open, they're moving around. So I think my estimate of about a month old is probably accurate. Look at that. And they're busy calling, they're calling. Oh, they are still so young. Oh my word, everyone, this is just amazing. It's a bit tricky, like I said. I've tried to keep our distance. I don't want to get too close. I don't want the lioness to feel threatened in any way. And again, remember I said this is very important for us to potentially have better views of these cubs at a later stage. How amazing is this? And what a privilege to be able to view them. Now, the lioness is... I will try to remove again if once these cubs settle down. But they're heading to... This lioness is lying...
Oh, she's got one, but oh, so cute. If we could be a little bit more to the left.
Let's just hold on. There we go. You can see she's lying just under that guari tree for now. Now it is a difficult view, everyone, but like I said, I don't want to move around too much just yet. And first allow them to get used to the sound of our voices and the smells. It's all new for them. So we do have to be sensitive. But I will reposition. I can move a little bit to the left, and I will shortly... Let me try, Seb. Hang on a second. I'm just going to try and move a little bit off to the left. Yeah. Isn't this amazing? Oh, this is really, really great. Even, Seb, if I go a little bit further back, maybe. Just off to the side. That should be okay, huh? Let's have a look. Yeah, she's still relaxed, she's still fine. And we'll be able to see these little bundles of joy, I suppose. Now, Ed, you say these little cubs look really healthy. They do indeed. They do. Oh, there we go. Look. Oh my word. This is amazing. I mean, you know what? You can't describe this. It's just watch and enjoy. All 3 cubs. Look at that. Well, everyone, you know, it's been an interesting few days. We've seen 2 buffalo carcasses. Lions have been feeding on the buffalo. It's not always easy to see lions feeding on carcasses. We found those lions on that buffalo carcass, but it's provided a lot of food for the lions, which is great. A lot of food for this lioness, and as a result, she's been able to come back and forth from this den. It's not too far from the other kill, and been able to feed the cubs. So that's a cycle in nature. So everything happens for a reason out here. Well, everyone, this is a first for all of us. Mr. P, all the way in Canada, you asked, what age do they start getting their vision? I think it's around 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. I think their eyes start opening properly, and they can see. If I'm not mistaken, I stand to correction, Mr. P, but I think it's round about there, about 3 weeks or so. That's what I say. I think these cubs are about 3 weeks to a month old. Oh, better not squash the little cubs. But look how careful she is around them. Oh. And a lot of you saying I must feel so honoured, myself and Sebastian, not just me, but myself and Sebastian feel so honoured to be in this sighting, and definitely. Hey, Sebastian.
Of course.
I mean,
of course.
this is really, really very special.
What a Sunday treat, eh?
Yeah, this is an amazing treat, and this is not something you get to see very often. To be the first one to come into a den site, to see the cubs for the first time, and you can see they seem very happy, they're playful. Oh, there we go. They're probably going to start suckling. Anna Marie, you say you love how fluffy they are. They are little balls of fluff at the moment. Oh, this is so special. But yeah, all 3 of these cubs look very healthy. Right, there we go. Looks like they've all managed to get a position to suckle. Sure. This is really, I mean, how else can you describe it? I mean, you know, is yeah, maybe let's try do a 1-word tweet. You know, I don't think it's fair to try get 1 word to describe this, but maybe we can add a lot of your words together. So send us a 1-word tweet of how this is making you feel, or what you think about this particular sighting. Hashtag Safari Live. Send us your comments. We really have had a great 2 days. Lions, leopard, elephant, buffalo.
pure eagle owl.
The giant eagle owl. There's been so much happening. Oh, shame, she's moving. Where's she going? You can see the little cubs are getting upset. Why did Mom move? And again, you see, this is all part of... I mean, they are tiny. Look how small those little cubs are compared to that lioness. They look almost like they're just bigger than her paws. There we go. We should get a nice view from this side now, if she allows him to go back and suckle. Some hungry little cubs. Now, what I would suggest to everyone, and I'm going to probably chat to Tristan about this. He knows the guides in the area a bit better, but I would suggest a situation like this. We can potentially open this den site to be viewed by vehicles. However, I would suggest one vehicle per game drive, and only if they follow the lioness to the den. These cubs are still far too young for vehicles to come in here by themselves. So if they follow the lioness and she brings them to the den, then I think that would be okay. And maybe one vehicle per game drive, so there's not a lot of movement around. And so what I say per game drive, I mean so per either sunrise safari or sunset safari, one vehicle. So if people do decide to come, they need to be patient. They can't move around here too much. Don't want to just. You need to be sensitive in a situation like this. So that's what I think. But I'll chat to Tristan and see what they say. R. Laura Moore, one word tweets. You say treasure. Doesn't look like this lioness is very comfortable. She keeps moving. Tess, you say devotion. That's your one-word tweet. So treasure, devotion. Andrea, you say yours is blessed. Yeah, I think so too. Oh, Barbara, you say hopeful. That's a nice one too. Look at these little cubs. The grass is so long for them. Oh, she's moving again. Hold on a second. She lay down now. Oh, sorry, Seb, my hat. I'm just trying to see. This little magic worry tree is just in the wrong position. It's in front of us, but I don't want to park the vehicle over it, because that I think is just too much movement for these, not just for the cubs, but for the lioness too. Don't want her to feel uncomfortable. Oh, look at that. Sebastian, can you think of one word to describe this?
Legacy.
Sebastian says legacy. I think that's a great one too. Lovely one, Sebastian. Legacy for the...
What's that?
Megan says she thinks that wins so far, legacy. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Seb, I'm just going to try slightly. I'm just move back a little bit again, I think. Alright, now I'm just going to try and reposition the nose down here, but while I do that, let's head back to Tristan and see how he feels about these new additions to the Nkuhuma Pride.
Well, Byron, it is very exciting, and I'm super happy that we're going to have new little lion cubs around. It's great news, and particularly because it's the youngest female, it means that she's at least been successful in her mating, and hopefully we're going to see lots and lots and lots of incredible sightings of those little ones. The good thing about them being here is that it means that she's going to keep her, at least, and probably a lot of the Nkuhuma Pride around this area. So it means hopefully we'll have far more regular sightings of the Pride, and those little ones will be joyful over the next few months. So hopefully they survive, and hopefully everything will be good. With the fact that the Birmingham males are still so dominant in this area, I think those little ones have every chance of staying with us and hopefully growing up just like the rest of the Pride's cubs have. Now we come back towards the carcass because Mfumo finished drinking and he's mobile straight back this way, so I wonder if we might see another greeting. You've got Tinyo still tucking into his carcass, and I'm surprised there's a lot of meat on this buffalo still. They're going to be here for probably, I would say, until tomorrow at least, but I wonder if all three of them are going to stay. I don't know, like I say, where the fourth one is, and Suko seems to have disappeared. Maybe he heard other lions calling somewhere and has gone to go and investigate. At the end of the day, they have been here for quite some time, so it's possible that they are going to go and check territory. Do you see him, Senzo? Is he there? Ah, there he is. What are you doing all the way in back there? Well spotted, Senzo. So he's also around, so it's actually all four are still here, which is fantastic news. It's always good when they're all together. Rebecca, you're wondering if the Birmingham Boys are all the same age? Don't think so. I think there's two different litters, if I'm not mistaken, within the Birmingham Boy coalition. There was Insuku, who was a lot larger, or had a much bigger mane when they first arrived than the rest of them. It also looked like that the youngest male was the one that died, unfortunately. He apparently was the youngest of them. So I don't know if it was 2 or 3 litters, but I think it was multiple litters. They're not all the same age, but they're very close together. There's not much between them. I think it's about 6 or 7 months between all of them, so it's not very much at all, and so they all are, I suppose, of a relatively similar age, which is good news. It means that we don't have a very old lion that's going to probably pass away before the others. It means that these guys should all go quite old together, which is happy days, and hopefully they will be here for the success of the Pride. We need them to carry on being dominant within this area. But it's funny to watch Tinyo feed. He's now got a muzzle full of blood and gore, and he's just so grumpy around a carcass. He's constantly growling and carrying on, even at poor Neno, who just flicks his tail and he gets growled at. So it's quite interesting just to watch how he is around a carcass. We also know when the Nkuhumas had that last buffalo kill that he was the one that was the most aggressive towards those females in the evening and tried to push them off. So he's a bit of a grumpy lad sometimes. That's okay though. You need to be grumpy. You need to lay the law down if you want to be a dominant male lion. Sierra, you're wondering if the colder weather affects how well the lions can hunt. Well, it affects the lions in a positive way. Colder, overcast weather like this means that the nights are darker, and that is always good for hunting. So you'll find that they will hunt a lot more on dark, cold evenings. Also, during the day, like now, it's a lot more dingy, the light, and so the opportunity to hunt during the day is also not bad. So you'll find that sometimes they'll even hunt in weather like this in the early hours of the morning, late afternoon. There's a longer period of time that is more useful to them. So that's that will be the benefit to it. There's no really downside to it being cooler. You'll find that these lions are not too phased whether it's cold or hot. They will move around whenever they want, but the overcast weather certainly helps. It's not so much the cold that affects their hunting. But it's just amazing how much food these guys can put in those bellies. Just see how distended they are. The other thing is to see how quickly they digest. That's what always amazes me, is you'll find that these guys will go from being like this to 2 days' time looking quite lean and muscular and as though they haven't really eaten that much. So it's an incredibly quick digestive process, and that's why they can feed as much as they do. So you'll find they kind of go in and out all the time, and look at that muzzle as it crunches up. Tinyo's really getting stuck into that leg now. Campy, you're wondering how long this carcass is going to be fed upon before it goes bad. Well, it's already starting to smell and to rot. As human, we would not be able to eat this at all. It's not fit for consumption for people anymore. But these guys will eat this as rotten as you can imagine. I've seen lions feeding off giraffe kills that were so rotten that the meat was almost going liquid. It was a green color and was going liquid, and they still ate it. So they're a bit on the manky side when it comes to that, but if you're hungry, you're hungry. And at the moment, because of the lack of buffalo that are around, these guys are going to make sure that they maximize this meal, and they're going to eat every bit of it. But you'll also find that between the four of them, are going to start really tucking in over the next little bit. And that's going to mean that by tomorrow, I would imagine this carcass will look completely done. And I'd be very surprised if they're still here tomorrow night. I think they're in all likelihood going to be finished, and will probably then start to move off. Once they've decided they've had enough, all of them will start to disappear, and they'll go back towards wherever they want to go and check. I'm sure they're going to try and catch up with the Styx Pride, the Nkuhuma Pride. Maybe they'll even go as far south as that Kumbula Pride on Mala Mala, and the Tortured Pride in the north. So I think we're going to see a lot of splitting up of the lions. I can see Mfumo is just starting to wander in now. He's coming from the pan. Now you can see Tinyo does actually have a broken tooth, so I wasn't imagining it yesterday. His bottom right tooth is broken, so there is actually a broken canine in there. So I know a lot of you were telling me that he doesn't have a broken canine. He does at the moment. It's going to be forever broken, but it's not his lower left, it's his lower right one. Anyway, so that's just to update everybody and to make sure that we get updated profiles on our lions. I suppose it matches his name now that he's got a broken tooth. I suppose it's a good way that we called him Tooth then, with that big broken right canine. Right, I'm going to sit with these lions a little bit longer. I think I'm going to go down and watch Mfumo greet Nsuku, and while I do that, let's go across to Byron, who must be in lion heaven right now and is probably very happy to see the little cubs cuddling up in this cuddly weather.
Oh, I am indeed, Tristan. I am indeed. This is such a treat. But I can see this lioness, she's not very comfortable, not with us. She's just so full. So she hasn't been lying down for a long time. Then she changes position. And now she got up and is moving a little bit. They're moving around, these cubs. Look at that, they're calling. Listen to that. Oh my word. Let's see if she picks one up. Oh, hold on, let's watch. They've decided to move a little bit closer to us. They feel like they can explore now with the female around. It's amazing how trusting these little cubs are. As long as the mother is close by, not a fear in the world. Moving back to the same position again. It's nice of her to be out in the open. Look at them moving through the long grass. Sorry, I'm trying to stay out the shot here. Now the cubs want to suckle, but the female, she's still panting heavily because she's so full. Isn't that a beautiful picture? Look, watch. She might pick one up. Have a look. Watch. she wants to move on. Come on. I don't want to be picked up. No, they just want to suckle. They want food. They want breakfast. Like this, Megan said. And again, just such a treat to be the only ones here to see this for the first time. Now, I know a lot of you can probably hear these little sounds, these squeals or squeaks that these lion cubs can make. Look at that. Oh, that is amazing. Oh.
What's your one-word treat, Byron?
I'm trying to think, you know what, Sebastian, Sebastian asked what my one word would be to describe this. I think I'd go with, let me think about that a little bit. Precious. I think this is precious. Ginga, you asked how long after, or how long until she decides to move the den. Well, I'm trying to think. I've seen lions at about 3 weeks potentially move the den. Not too far, but move the cubs to a new den site, and then at about 2 months, roughly 2 months, probably introduce them to the pride if there is a kill nearby. I wonder where she's going. Unless she's just showing them a little bit of the terrain around here. Rebecca, you asked at what age will we be able to tell the gender of the cubs? I think also around 2.5 months, Rebecca. You'll probably be able to see if you look carefully. I think you would be able to then see. I'm just trying to think. I saw lion cubs, young lion cubs, in the Kalahari. When was it? Was it the beginning of the year or last year? Last year. And they were about 2 months old, and the one lioness went and fetched them and took them to a kill. They were between 2 and 3 months old. It was slightly different.